Blair Zahn, or Illuminaughtii as most people know her as, is someone who I wasn't really that familiar with until recently. She was in her heyday really popular, but her popularity is not really the context of this video today, because recently she has found herself in some legal trouble, and in this video I want to try and find out how we ended up here. So Blair started out just like the rest of us do, a freelance creator, just making videos about topics she found interesting and kind of just doing it for the love of the game. And then seemingly at random, her channel blew up almost overnight when she made a video on the sad Satan phenomenon from 2015. From that point on, Blair had a pretty defined brand here on YouTube. She would make kind of mini documentaries exposing MLMs and other internet scams. Like if you go to her channel today, the oldest video on her channel is "What is an MLM? The History of Multi-Level Marketing." As I was scrolling through her channel to research for this video, I have to admit that Blair's videos were actually pretty good. She sort of has this way of taking a very complex thing such as a MLM and breaking it down piece by piece into like a 20-minute video, which is harder than you think. So due in no small part to the quality of her videos, she began to blow up around 2018, becoming one of the fastest like commentary YouTubers on the platform. And by around like 2020, 2021, she had become like one of the staples of like that kind of video, like true crime almost, but not really. She kind of like dabbled in it. But unfortunately for Blair, she had not been completely honest with the way she was making her videos, because around this time is when multiple creators came forward claiming that Blair had been appropriating their content without giving them proper credit, adding to the age-old conversation of fair use on YouTube. Now, we have seen plenty of larger creators getting called out for their behavior online, but for some reason Blair decided to use pretty much the one tactic that just never seems to work out. She decided to use her large platform to bully and silence her critics. And all of her antics would come to light when she decided to go up against fellow YouTuber Legal Eagle. Devin Stone is a lawyer and YouTuber famous for giving reviews of popular movies and TV shows from a legal basis and giving his perspective on things happening in pop culture. And about a year ago, he found himself at the center of a controversy with Blair Zahn. So Blair was accusing Legal Eagle and his creative team of plagiarizing her video editing style, specifically pointing to instances of using like a torn paper template and the highlighting of text. But the problem with this is, as anyone who's done any sort of editing knows, these are like pretty basic and common templates that you can get from pretty much any site that does that sort of thing online. Like, the fact of the matter is that Legal Eagle's editors had been using both of them before Illuminaughtii even like was a thing. The whole story kind of blew up when Illuminaughtii took to Twitter to call out Legal Eagle and his editing team, going as far as to claim that his editors had reached out to hers before putting the templates in their videos to try and steal her style, which even still, like, editing styles aren't really a thing, unless I suppose you make the actual template from scratch, which no one does, so it doesn't even matter. So of course Legal Eagle's editors responded, claiming that they actually didn't reach out to Blair or even get it from her. They had actually reached out to a different YouTuber, CoffeeZilla, and his editors just told them the website that they use, because again, these are really common things that almost every big YouTuber and their editors use. Honestly, not much came of that drama. They just ended up apologizing in DMs and going on about their day. So at the end of it, it was really much ado about nothing, which is lucky for Blair, because if I was going to hurl baseless claims at a YouTuber, I probably wouldn't pick the one that's also a lawyer to do it. That's just me, but you know, maybe I'm crazy. The Legal Eagle drama was pretty much just the beginning of things to come for Blair, because from this point on, it seems like she couldn't go a couple of weeks without finding herself in some new kind of drama. Sad Milk was like a collective of YouTubers that included Blair and a few other people. They would make collaborative content, group reaction videos, sort of think of them as like a streamer org, but for YouTubers. Like, on the surface, it seems like a good idea, both like personally and professionally. It kind of lightens the workload, and if you get to collaborate with people that you enjoy working with, that tends to make some of the better content, in my opinion. Unfortunately, like, pretty much all the other members of Sad Milk had nothing but awful things to say about Blair. They claimed that she was verbally abusive and manipulative, and even one of the members went so far as to claim that she just enjoyed stirring up drama between the group, which is just like the worst type of person to have to work with.
My channel was actually going in a really good direction. At this time, I was starting to pull a lot of steady views, but the narrative behind the closed doors in Sad Milk was that we should all be moving away towards Reddit content and getting into video essay type content. content like Blair. It was a very known thing behind closed doors where we would insult and belittle anyone who still did Reddit, while Oz and I actually were still doing Reddit. So it developed into a resentment towards my own content, which my audience liked, but I now was finding that I despised what I did.
But all of those accusations pale in comparison to the one where she allegedly leaked private information about one of the members, including like sensitive topics like the state of their mental health and things like that, which I think we can all agree, like even the worst person you know, that would be a low for them probably, because that's just something you don't do.
To my next and most painful section, my mental health, which was proudly put on display for the world to see for some reason. Now, when I first saw Blair speaking upon my mental health, admittedly, I shut down. I was rightfully broken and disgusted that so many people could see the insight into my mental health, something very private and a lot of times met with shame. There were so many things I wanted to say when I saw that, so many nasty and vile words of venom I wanted to throw into the void due to this becoming public on Blair's own doing. But it's not Blair's story to tell as to how I got to this point, it's mine.
As I was going through all these stories, I realized that there's a bit of a pattern of behavior with Blair. She sort of just wields the power of her platform with no regard for how it'll affect the people around her, even people close to her. And sometimes like there's not even a real benefit to her. She just kind of likes flinging shit, it seems like. So all of the negative attention that was on Blair from the fallout of Sad Milk and the Legal Eagle situation, she was kind of on the hot seat. So of course she had to respond, dropping a 42-minute video titled Illuminaughtii Exposed, wherein she would address the Legal Eagle situation, the Sad Milk situations, and all that stuff. And the video is just not that great, to be honest. She did admit to some toxic behavior, but she really tried to spin and excuse everything, claiming that she was just being overworked and stretched too thin. So now she would be able to draw back on her workload and not be such an awful person to everyone around her.
When the Sad Milk channel was formed, I initially took the lead and I made the channel, I made the Discord, I got my mods from my server to help run the new Discord. I hired and managed video editors to help us produce more content. I was the one who was sourcing the topics and files for each video. And I was the one who had set the schedules for recording too. There's a lot of work behind the scenes that goes into a YouTube channel, and I bore the brunt of it for this project. And it wasn't something that I was doing to have total control, as some members have suggested. I managed the schedules and the editors because it was just something that needed to be done. People weren't stepping up to the plate, and I did, and I ultimately bit off more than I could chew.
But unfortunately for her, everyone else came with really detailed accounts and actual evidence of what they were claiming happened, which all pointed to a completely different story than the narrative Blair was trying to spin.
Here is Sad Milk posting on the 1st of November, 3:28 a.m. that Salty Click and OT will not be continuing the new journey with Sad Milk and we're leaving the channel. And here's a tweet from Illuminaughtii saying, casual reminder, pedophilia is never a gray area. It is wrong. If someone you know won't take action, then they are complicit to the problem, and so on and so forth, and here are some of the threads. In isolation, there is nothing wrong with this statement. It's one that I obviously support. However, the timing certainly struck us and the community as odd. Immediately after announcing our departure from Sad Milk, within 3 hours, this statement was made by Illuminaughtii and retweeted by Sad Milk. This, as anyone would know, started many rumors. Worth mentioning, she also pushed Wonder to release a hit piece video on myself and OT back in 2021. When Wonder left, she retracted her support by removing her comment under the video. Wonder has since then retracted the video and apologizes for the false insinuation it contained, and I hold no grudge against him.
By this point, Blair's reputation was pretty much in shambles, so when the hbomberguy video, plagiarism and YouTube dropped, it was more or less the nail in the coffin for her. Among other accusations, hbomberguy accuses, I don't even know if accuses is the right word because he just has video evidence proving exactly what he's saying, but he accuses her, I guess, of ripping a anti-vax documentary word for word, bar for bar in one of her videos.
And at one point, I did a double take.
There was a joint inventor on these products, a man named Hugh Fudenberg, a former immunologist who has been long controversial. In 1989, he was caught up in a bizarre lawsuit with the Food and Drug Administration, which told him he had to stop injecting his autistic patients with blood products.
I remember pausing, budget B&Q hammer in hand, and thinking, haven't I heard this exact sentence before?
In 1989, he was caught up in a bizarre lawsuit involving the Food and Drug Administration, which told him he had to stop injecting his autistic child patients with blood products.
Like, at this point, plagiarism seems pretty cut and dry to me, but Blair in her response argued that it couldn't possibly be plagiarism because she had actually sourced everything, and I'm pretty sure she even ran her script through turnitin.com to make sure she was all good. She then goes on to give us the Webster's definition of plagiarism.
And I just want to take a minute to define this word. On screen are definitions for the word plagiarism as defined by Merriam-Webster, Dictionary.com, and the University of Oxford.
Which only proved two things. That she definitely did plagiarize that documentary, it's pretty obvious, and two, that she has the mind of a middle schooler. As you can already imagine, the internet didn't take too kindly to Blair being outed as a content thief. That's just one of those things, no matter what beliefs you hold, no matter what you think about the world, anything, pretty much everyone comes together on the idea that like stealing content is bad, especially when it's as blatant as just ripping words from a documentary. Like, you didn't even bother trying to switch it up. Like, copying a thumbnail is one thing, it's kind of cringe, but like there is a formulaic way to make thumbnails, so I get why people do it. But like just stealing someone else's words word for word, same tone, same everything, that's just lazy. There's no real benefit to it. You're just being lazy at that point. And so with her reputation on the internet pretty much completely destroyed at this point, Blair decided to take things off the internet and into the courtroom, specifically with her former editor and collaborator, Oz Media. After reports of Blair's dubious financial arrangements with Oz Media came to light, questions about the ethics of these deals started to come her way. Blair reportedly used her authority as his employee to dupe Oz Media into signing contracts that he did not fully understand, and while he was not in the presence of adequate legal counsel, which could range anywhere from like shady business practices to outright illegal depending on the circumstances. And now, in an attempt to be named the worst boss on the internet, Blair is now suing her former employees for defamation, breach of contract, and violating a confidentiality agreement after the first case didn't go her way. And you don't have to take my word for it. This is all according to court documents obtained by a YouTuber by the name of TheMadCatster. And in this lawsuit, Blair names creators like Swoop, the Internet Anarchist, Moist Critical, and Cruel World Happy Mind for daring to make videos about all the awful stuff she did. And now with that last lawsuit, we're basically back up to the present day, because about 2 weeks ago, Oz Media uploaded an hour-long video recounting everything that had happened leading up to this lawsuit. He goes into great detail explaining why this lawsuit is frivolous. If you'd like to go more in depth on the topic, that video is a great place to start. And at the end of it, he even puts forth a deal that he would be willing to take to just make this whole thing go away.
The rough outline that I'm proposing, and I am open to negotiations on these terms within reason. Plaintiff must dismiss all claims against all parties with prejudice once amicable terms are set forth. Plaintiff and myself will agree on a third party who we both independently trust to host a fair conversation. Their responsibility will be to ensure that each person is not spoken over and is given a chance to clear their mind. Plaintiffs may also take this time to take accountability for their actions instead if they wish. Legal fees of either party will not be sought out, and this will be taken for the loss that it is. I can provide no personal guarantee in either circumstance that you, Blair, would be able to repair your public image or reputation. That is up to you. However, I am giving you the opportunity that your lawsuit will most certainly not. I would be open to additional terms being presented within reason. This settlement offer must be accepted, if at all, by a communication in writing delivered to my lawyer not later than the end of office hours June 7th, or it will be withdrawn without further notice. If my lawyer does not receive a response by the end of office hours on June 7th, I will assume that you've declined this offer, and I will proceed as planned with legal proceedings. We are open to negotiations within reason. I am only giving Blair this settlement offer because of the events which have occurred in my private life. If she declines, so be it. I have no qualms with proceeding with part 2.
But that pretty much seems to be where we are as of this very second that I'm recording this. If anything new does come to light, maybe I'll tack it on at the end of this video, or if there's enough, there might be a part 2. I'm not 100% sure yet. In the meantime, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, all that fun stuff. It really does help out me and the channel. Again, thanks for watching, and make sure you have an amazing rest of your day. Okay, bye.